Imagine waking up one day and finding your city split in two by a massive wall. For 28 years, this was life in Berlin. A city divided, families torn apart, and freedom out of reach. But in 1989, everything changed in one unforgettable night. The Berlin Wall wasn't just bricks and mortar. It was a symbol of the Cold War, separating East and West Berlin, communism and democracy. Built in 1961, it became a deadly barrier, guarded by soldiers and patrolled by dogs. Thousands risked their lives trying to escape, but most paid the ultimate price. In this video, we'll uncover the dramatic story of how this wall came down and how it signaled the end of an era. After World War II, Germany was divided. The East was controlled by the Soviet Union and the West by the Allies. Berlin, located deep in the East, became a battleground for ideology. By the 1960s, East Berlin's communist government faced a crisis. People were fleeing to the West in droves. To stop this, they built the Berlin Wall overnight in August 1961. Suddenly, families were split, jobs were lost, and lives were shattered. Over the years, it became nearly impossible to cross. Guard towers, armed soldiers, and deadly traps turned Berlin into a city of fear. But by the late 1980s, cracks began to form. Not in the wall itself, but in the system it represented. Across Eastern Europe, communist regimes were crumbling. People were demanding freedom, and protests were erupting everywhere. In East Germany, citizens began organizing demonstrations, risking arrest, and worse, to make their voices heard. Then came the pivotal night, November 9, 1989. A government official mistakenly announced that travel restrictions would be lifted immediately. The news spread like wildfire. Thousands of East Berliners rushed to the checkpoints. Overwhelmed and confused, border guards opened the gates. The people surged through. That night, Berliners from both sides flooded the streets, climbed the wall, and began tearing it down with their own hands. Crowds cheered, champagne flowed, and for the first time in nearly 30 years, East and West Berliners embraced without barriers. It was a moment of pure euphoria, broadcast around the world. The fall of the Berlin Wall wasn't just about Berlin. It marked the beginning of the end for the Cold War. Within a year, Germany was reunited, and soon after, the Soviet Union collapsed. The wall, once a symbol of division, became a symbol of hope and freedom. Want to learn more about how the Cold War shaped our world? Watch our next video.